Hi, Kim. Welcome to
Hi.
today's live stream program. Doing
Okay.
very well. It's great to see you here. I'm going to start off with a little bit of stretching, a little bit of work
Oh,
to get our energy lines moving, get the energy flowing.
can I see?
The exercise we're going to do is a hands up exercise. Oh, hi. Very cute. We're going to do a hands up exercise. You can have the palms facing forward and then just extend those hands straight upward. And what this is going to do is we hold this exercise for the next several minutes. I love the unicorn over there. It will gradually open up the energy line, starting with our fingertips. And this is something you'll begin to feel as you do it over time. But we will get started on this now. It's an exercise that we'll revisit over time to help strengthen our energy lines and our energy system. So you can face your palms facing forward and you can extend your hands up above your head and we're locking the elbows. So the elbows are straight and they're going straight up. And I'm doing this sitting down. You can do it sitting down as well and it still works. It's actually more effective if you stand up. So if it is
How?
comfortably for you to stand up, then we can actually stand up as we do this exercise, and it's going to strengthen the flow even more. So I'm going to stand up. You may see the camera rotate a little bit as I do this and adjust so I have the space to do this and allow you to see me as well. Um,
Thinking, how do you do that?
so going to have our hands facing straight up. Um, this is a very ancient exercise. I learned this from Guruji Raghavir Singh Rajput when I was up the Meher Baba Samadhi, doing about 8 hours a day of meditation in Maharashtra, India. This is also an exercise I learned later on from the pranic master, who's originally from the US, but he's currently based in Africa. It's called Eli Tam El Amin. He also teaches this same exercise, but in the context of a different system, a Chinese system known as Qigong. And Qigong is also very concerned with opening the energy lines and establishing a pranic flow of what they call Qi energy, a life force energy.
Example, what is that plug?
And these same energy lines can also be used to carry a much lesser known frequency that I don't think anybody is talking about, but I talk about it. And it's called the Andromedan healing frequency because it's from Andromeda, and that's the primary frequency that I'm carrying and passing on. So this exercise can carry life force energy, chi. It can also carry the Andromedan healing frequency. You can carry Reiki frequency. And depending on your body makeup, you may feel this very differently. So some people I've worked with on this will kind of feel it more in the heart, directing energy to the chest area. I feel
Yeah.
it primarily widening and stretching the energy lines that are specifically in my hands and my upper arm. So when I do this exercise, and keep in mind, I've been doing this for a long time, and the energy flow certainly developed and strengthened and increased over time. But when I do it, I first start feeling an energy flow in my fingertips. And as I continue doing this for a few minutes, I begin to feel it heat up and become more pronounced in the hand area, so the hand area and extending to the fingertips. And that's what I'm starting to feel now that we've already been doing this for a couple of minutes. And as we do this even more, I may even start to feel it in my upper arms as the energy strengthens. So this is an advanced technique. It's for building your own energy. And you could even use this to transmit energy to others as you cultivate your own energy. So, right, so you're first charging yourself, and then you'll be able to charge others. Now we're interested in developing holistic solutions so you can be independent, heal yourselves, heal others, and be a very strong and robust energetic system. So we're cultivating these energies as part of a holistic process to get rid of any ailments you may have now, prevent any ailments in the future, and go beyond that to actually increasing the energy. And as I'm doing this, my hands are getting a nice workout. It's stretching the energy line, so I'll be able to hold more energy. It's priming that energy. And even for me, this is a very nice little exercise to do before this session because it's priming, it's strengthening my own energy system. And as I'm sending energy out to all of you on this call, I'm going to benefit, and we're all going to benefit from this exercise that we're doing here. The protocol for doing this is to do it for a few minutes each day, and as Guruji Raghavir Singh Rajput, he recommended doing it anytime in the morning. It could be in the early hours of the morning, could be in the later hours of the morning. It's nice to do in the beginning of the day because then it increases your energy throughout the entire day, but that doesn't mean that you can do it at some other point in the day. And it definitely doesn't hurt to do it in the evening or so many other points. It's not like this is gonna keep you up at night or anything like that. And once we put our hands down, the energy is it's going to settle down. It's not going to be like an overwhelming charge of energy that's spilling all over the place. It's mainly strengthening the energy flow while we're having the hands raised. And there's something about keeping the hands raised above the head that is strongly activating that energy flow. Because normally, we just have our hands at our sides and that's the normal position. But when we're keeping our hands above our heads, it's telling our system to work on that flow and start sending the energy outward and upward. And you may notice that this hurts after a little while. And I'm definitely feeling not a sharp pain, but definitely a strain in the shoulder area because the muscles holding up the hands are strained. It's like any exercise, right? It's not exactly like lifting weights because it's more of a slow and steady exercise rather than lifting 100 pounds or something like that. But you'll come to notice after a few minutes over time, even though the weight of your arms is not that tremendous, that over time these muscles begin to get a little bit sore. Now, if it's very painful, you can stop the exercise, you can rest the hands, you can even rest your arms at a right angle, you can prop them up on a chair or a couch, and to some extent this exercise will still work. And I've done that before, especially in the beginning. You're just trying to keep your hands raised, maybe you're trying to do it for a little bit longer, and you prop it up on there was like a ledge near me in India where I was. I propped the hands up on this ledge, and I was able to maintain the position for longer and get more practice. But in the beginning, it does tend to get sore. It's possible to put your hands down for a few seconds or a minute so they become less sore and put them back up. But you will notice if you put your hands down, then the energy work will subside and not be happening like it was when your hands are raised. And what I usually do when I do this exercise, I set a little timer. So I take out my cell phone and I set a timer for about 7 minutes because I want to do at least 5 minutes. 7 minutes is excellent. this isn't something that you need to do for any more than 7 minutes. You don't need to spend a half hour of your day doing this exercise. It can be a nice short exercise, and it sure primes the energy system better than anything else. So you can set a timer for 7 minutes of this, and you can try to relax. You can feel the energy. But even if you're doing anything, and even if your mind wanders, obviously we don't want the mind to wander, we want to concentrate, but even if the mind wanders, you will still be exercising the energy system just by virtue of keeping your hands in this position. So I can't recommend it enough. And this is one of the 3 branches of our comprehensive system. We have one branch, that's the thought pattern dissolve, that we talk about in this series, in the Kindle book called Thought Pattern Dissolve, 2nd edition, in the Udemy course that will be coming out. It's on depression, but it also goes through the thought pattern dissolve process on video. So we have that cognitive approach, using your mind to dissolve the mind itself. And then we have this second arm of the approach, which is the energetic part of it, strengthening your energy system, because you can hold more energy, carry more energy, align the energy, have better energy flow. And why do we work on the energy system? Why do we care about it? You can think of energy as a currency, just like you have dollars and cents in your bank account. It really works the same within your body in terms of energy. If you have energy, and it's like an amount of energy, we could even quantify it. Sometimes I feel I could hook up a little voltmeter, my hands in my forehead, and get a measurement of what that energy is, and how many light bulbs we could light up. But essentially that amount of energy, it's like dollars, and you can go ahead and spend those dollars. Now, what are we spending our energetic dollars on? Well, the first thing we're spending on is our health, because this energy can be used to fight, cancer, fight tumors, fight other illnesses, arthritis. You can use this energy to repair the body and fix anything that's wrong in it. Later on, at some point, we may get into how to convert this energy into nutritional energy. There's a way to convert chi, pranic energy, life force energy, this kind of energy. You can actually convert it into physical energy that's essentially the same, or can work the same way as food energy. You can actually replace food with this kind of energy. You can actually replace a meal, part of a meal, even a whole meal, with this kind of energy. There's a way to convert one between the other. There's actually all kinds of things we can do. We can purchase, if you like to think of that way. We can purchase with this energy. And right now in this program, a little bit later shortly, I'll be sending out healing energy, and that's something we can do with this energy. And it's a conversion. You could even, we could probably even count it. It'd be like a certain amount of calories converted into energy. And we're sending that through, and we're producing healing effects, even in people across the world, with the energy that's being used. So the light beings that we work with can also use and leverage this energy to heal things in your own body, or heal things in other people. This energy also converts into concentration. You can purchase concentration with this energy. And what can we do with concentration? Well, we can control our mind, get on top of our thoughts, not be as stuck in our head. There's a threshold where you go into subconscious thinking. If your energetic levels are above that threshold, you're much less likely to get pulled out of, you can pull yourself out of the subconscious thinking. You gain control over the thought process because of this energy. Can raise your brain into different frequency bands using this energy. So there's a lot we can purchase, if you will, with this energy. And there different kinds of goods, health goods, healing goods, brain experience goods. It's a lot that we can sleep. You can replace sleep with this kind of energy. You can actually sleep less if you have more energy because you're revitalizing and repairing your body with the energy. You need less sleep. And that translates into time. If you sleep less, you have more time. You can purchase time with this energy. And another thing you can do with the energy is work in whatever field of work that you may be doing. You have more energy to be productive and do your work. You can get more done in the same amount of time. So that's another thing you can do with this energy. So if anyone has kept their hands up for this long, I applaud them. For me, I kind of got past the initial pain. Now it's a little bit less painful, but we are going to transition to the other parts of our program. And I haven't been timing this exactly, but it feels like we may be at around 7 minutes right now, which is the perfect time for that exercise. So I'm going to slowly put our hands down. You can slowly put your hands down. Tim, I applaud you for your efforts in doing that exercise along with us. And now we are going to transition into our meditation program over here. So I would encourage all of you to change the posture a little bit if you want, if it's possible. We're going to sit in a slightly more upright posture to be attentive and be serious about our meditation. So I'm going to sit with my back a little bit off the chair. So I'm a couple of inches off the chair. I'm not resting my back on the chair. I'm actually slightly tired right now. I had a lot of energy last night. I didn't sleep a full night, which is fine. But I want to make sure I'm awake and alert and aware for this meditation. And that can also help us focus a little bit. So keeping my back off the chair, that's going to engage some muscles. It will be slightly less comfortable as I'm doing this meditation, but that's okay. It'll add to the concentration levels. So let's go ahead, begin our meditation. You can close your eyes and I'll turn music on in a minute. So, and I will mainly keep my eyes closed during this process. I encourage all
I
of
will
you to
mainly keep
also keep
my eyes
your eyes
closed
closed during this process. I encourage all of
I
you
will
to
mainly
also
keep
keep
my
your
eyes
eyes
closed.
closed during this. I will open my eyes sometimes, though, to check on people who are sending messages. So I encourage people to send messages in the chat. Um, can also message me directly on Facebook, and I'll look at those. I'll respond to them. And I'm also going to tune in specifically at some point in this program to everyone who I see either has sent a message, or if they're like Kim who's in the Zoom and I know they're there, I will tune specifically into them at some point in the program. Um, and at that point it will be individualized, like we were meeting um, one-on-one for those minutes or that time. Um, so I would encourage you either to send a message. You can just even let me know you're there. Or you can come in to the Zoom, and the Zoom link is uh, Jonah Jonah dot is, and then I'll also be able to see you and know that you're there. So we'll start we'll start with Kim, and I'll tune into her at this time. And I may mention a few things that I feel for that particular person in terms of my experiences and where I feel the work going on. So again, it's my higher self is orchestrating the work. If I'm tuning in specifically, I can sense to some extent what's happening and where the work is. And for Kim now, I'm feeling in the solar plexus and the left side of the chest. Later on in the program, even if I'm not mentioning people's names specifically, I'll still likely check in on people individually after we've gone through all the people that I know are listening. And I appreciate everybody who bared with the links. What I'm aiming to do is keep it on that redirect, so the Jonah.is, and the actual Zoom link underneath may change, but that redirection I'm hoping will stay the same. That way it'll be easier for people um, to find it on Zoom if that's how they want to connect. And Kim may notice now that the energy is changing a little bit. I'm noticing that my hand is moving up and down increasingly vigorously right now, and I just basically do whatever I'm guided to do. I try not to change what I'm being guided to do. I try to just go along with it. And my higher self, Yona the dragon, is, it is basically guiding my movements. If I let it guide my movements in a session like this, it will guide my movements. So essentially, without me thinking or controlling what's going on, those movements will change, and my hands kind of shooting out a little bit more and extending as it goes back and forth, and that is tied to the energetic process that Yona Dragon is working on right now, specifically for Kim and maybe for others in the group as well. I'm getting a bit more vigorous. It looks like we're trying to push something away, or bat something away. That's what's going on now. Most of the time the process is gentle. It's a feminine dragon with feminine energy, but it is very large, and you have that personality of wanting to be protective, and if there is something that needs to go or needs to be changed, the protective demeanor of the dragon will come in and address that, and she will use her full strength and weight to do whatever is needed for that particular person. Yeah, glad the hand gesture switched a little bit because it was getting a little bit intense over there. I'll see, doing some more up and downs with the hand, but it's rotating at more at the elbow, which is more comfortable for me right now. I'm just letting that go and not try to control the movement or slow it down, or not being like, all right, this is a really funny movement. My hand's just flapping around here. This looks ridiculous. I'm trying to let whatever the guided movement is happen. And I definitely encourage you guys to, focus as much as you can on the sensations and the process. And I couldn't find it more helpful to be using the thought pattern dissolve method. I'm so glad we have it with us, and I try to use it with myself as often as I can, because I find that if I just let my thoughts go and even try the standard meditation techniques of not worrying about the thoughts and just go back to the sensations and not really addressing the thoughts, what I find is that those thoughts keep cropping up. And it's particularly true with thoughts that can lead to depression or these negative loops. And I couldn't find it more helpful. It's what I do myself, even a lot of time while I'm meditating, is I go through the steps of thought pattern dissolve in my head when I catch a thought. Because what it does is it starts the process, or it continues the process of unwinding that thought. Or if I just let it go or tried to go around it or ignored it, because I don't, at a cognitive conscious level, understand what the thought's about, what the purpose is about, what it's driving at, and I don't invalidate it. So I don't make my mind understand. That's the third process of the thought pattern dissolve, invalidate. I don't actually invalidate the thought. My mind is still confused as to whether that's actually a good thought to have, and that thought might keep reoccurring. What I find is if I do the thought pattern dissolve process, and this is a process that I came up with over years of trying to fight depression and anxiety and trying to stop thinking, did all the research I could, and individual steps have similarities in other methods in some of the books I read, but I find that if I do it, with this mindset and in that particular order, it's much more effective at stopping those particular thought patterns to come up than if I just tried to do something like come back to the breath, which is what typically is done in a meditation. So I invite you in the meditation itself to try thought pattern dissolve, where we put a category label on the thought, kind of get a handle on it. And then we ask the purpose of that thought in a general way. Then we invalidate the thought. And then at that point, we move to what you might think of as you might do in a meditation, whereas you try to feel the thought, specifically feel where that thought is coming from, try to get at the roots of it. And at that point, our Shaktipat process, where we're getting this external assistance, is also going to be specifically targeting that root emotion behind the thought with you. So the thought pattern dissolve directly is feeding into our Shaktipat meditation, our external assistance meditation that we're getting from Yona the dragon, or your other guides that we're empowering at this time to leverage all the energy that is around. We're feeding this cognitive approach directly into our meditation approach and uprooting the thoughts. You could almost think of it like a funnel, kind of funneling at the top from that thought downward through the steps of categorizing and going down to purpose. It's a slightly deeper level, the underlying purpose behind the thought, a little bit deeper. And then we invalidate, where we go deeper still. We tell the subconscious part of our mind, tell it consciously, and then that seeps down to the subconscious part. We invalidate why that thought is not valid. And then lastly, we go even deeper to the emotion, to the feeling. So we're not at a cognitive point, we're at a feeling point, an emotional point. And then we get to sitting with that emotion, getting more comfortable sitting with it. And if it's a small stone, a small sanskara, we may be able to remove that even in a few minutes with the help that we have, with the energy and the help that we have. Or if it's something bigger, it may take more time. We may have to revisit it repeatedly, but we're working with that underlying samskara. And I just got rid of something really deep, a huge one that's affected me in my entire life, and a samskara that I actually have to work with for a long time, months, just to get out that one, because it's such a big one. It was this one part, not the whole thing, but a significant part of this core anxiety that I had, actually diagnosed as general anxiety disorder. It was that intense and that persistent, covering a huge area, running vertically up and down from my heart center and going down through my solar plexus region. And because it was so big, so ingrained, and also causing so many problems, it took me a very long time to really isolate it and get all my hands around it. And I was sitting with it for such a long time, feeling all the pain, feeling up, come up again and again. And what happened, using the thought pattern dissolve process to help gradually prune the connection between those sensations and the thoughts. So I did that pruning. I was able to really focus on the sensations without even having thoughts. And I got to a point of isolation where I was able to isolate those feelings without my thoughts running around all over the place. And I had to do that for a very long time. But I was eventually, with the help and grace of divine masters, and with the help that I had yesterday from Kasumi, Saint Germain, and Ra in the channeling session that we did, and is posted on this Facebook page and also the channel or YouTube, with their help in that in that session with that external assistance, I was able to finally dislodge that. And that's why I didn't get much sleep last night, because there was so much energy running through my system after that blockage had been removed, because we've been holding so much energy for so long, my entire lifetime, that when that blockage was removed, there was so much energy floating around, didn't know where to go or get stuck anymore, that I couldn't sleep for half the night last night. Tried to fall asleep for a couple hours. I might have slept for 15 minutes or something. I woke up, tried to go back to sleep. There was no falling asleep. I was like completely awake, and finally did sleep for 4 hours in the morning. I'm happy with that. But I'm even more happy about that blockage getting removed. Such a nuisance. I just have these persistent feelings of anxiety coming up for no reason, and then my thoughts creating all kinds of reasons out of that and running into all these anxious loops. And again, that's a part, it's a big part, but it's a part of the anxiety, depression complex that I had. Part of that mountain of sanskaras. It was a giant boulder within that mountain. And I'm thankful to the external assistance that I got yesterday to finally help in that removal. So sometimes, often in my experience, and actually for me, it's almost always with the really big sanskaras, I find that I need external assistance to get around it, because I find that I can often move through the smaller ones on my own, but when I hit one of those really large blockages, I found personally that it takes external assistance, and often that's assistance coming from somebody else, even if they're bringing another being in with them, to get their hands around that blockage and make it accessible. Because it's kind of like I'm hitting it, I'm feeling it, maybe I'm isolating the blockage, but I'm not actually able to move it on my own. And sometimes, Yona will come in for me and help me remove that blockage, and that definitely happens. But often I think she likes me to seek the support of other people and incorporate their healing, their help into my own journey. And so many times, including yesterday, that's just what happened. We had the help of Jeremy, Tom, Leo, Bay at that opportune moment, bringing in the ascended masters that they were working with, and that resulted in an extremely profound healing for me. And I couldn't be more grateful for that, because I know how difficult it's been. Now I see other people come in, which is very nice. Very happy to see other people come in. I'm still flapping my hand around. You can't see it. I'm going to get a wider angle camera. Should be coming today. So you can see more what my hands are doing. Sometimes it's interesting, but there's some process going on here with the flapping of the hand, and I encourage you to keep your eyes closed rather than looking at my hand flapping around. But I'll just tell you, and you can probably see it on the replay, that it's just kind of flapping around over there. There's something going on, and I'm going to let that wind down. It may be something for Kim, and then we're going to move on to the next folks here, and we'll look at people on the live stream, and we'll look at people who have just joined the Zoom, and move on to them next. Okay, so we will be moving on. Okay, perfect. Moving on to Edward next, and after that, we'll be moving on to a couple of people in the live stream, and I see Samia, Punt, Porn, Durang, and Miriam there. So I'm very grateful that you guys have joined. And after Edward, we'll be moving on to you guys. So let's begin to tune into Edward, see how he's doing, see how he's feeling. I know he's been going through a lot of challenges and facing them with incredible mental fortitude. So let's tune into him. So yeah, just try to keep your eyes closed, try to focus. You know, it is a difficult situation. You might be, I'm sure you're slightly fatigued at this time. That's okay. I'm really glad you're here. And start moving the energies up and down in the central column. Sometimes over time, I get to know or have inklings of what some of these gestures are working on, then I know more. We're doing a kind of vertical up and down motion right now. So do try to concentrate. You can. Coming back into the solar plexus, which is where we were last time we met, for part of the time at least. The solar plexus is our power center. And having blockages there is a core part of many conditions, many physical conditions. Because if we don't have full access to the power center, we have blockages there, then we don't have control over our energy and our vitality. And this area is also associated with confidence. And I've found this a huge part of, issues in my life where before I didn't have any confidence. I wasn't confident to do anything. I was always second guessing myself. I was too afraid to, get out there and pursue what I was interested in. I didn't think it would be successful, or I'd second guess myself. I was a consistent second guesser. Too afraid to, get out there and talk to people and have conversations, always running away from things. That was really my nature. Because of all of these blockages in the solar plexus, and believe it or not, I didn't start clearing out those solar plexus blockages for a really long time. It's actually one of the last places I got to, because I started out more in the root chakra. The initial Kundalini work and the activation work I did was in the root chakra, and we started there. We stabilized the Kundalini in the root chakra. And then after that, we worked on other things. Like the second chakra. And then when I started getting into things and focusing on what I was kind of interested in tackling, I mainly found myself focusing in the chest area, because a lot of the existential grief and the feelings around despair, even anxiety, so everything related to the anxiety and depression that I was so focused on getting rid of, is not in those aspects of it, are not in the solar plexus. They're more in the chest, in different parts of the chest. So you could say I was ignoring some really critical areas, such as the solar plexus and the throat. I never even thought that you'd have issues relating to depression and anxiety in the solar plexus and the throat, I was focused on, all right, I need to get rid of this grief, this despair, this anxious tension. So I was really more in that upper part of the chest. And it was only later on that I began to realize there's a lot to deal with in these other two centers. A lot. And solar plexus and the throat both tie into so many things, including the issues I had with the depression and anxiety. The throat is where you can't really find your voice, can't really speak out. And that's linked very heavily with the solar plexus, which is the power center, which also affects the extent to which you feel you can self-express and you're not afraid you're determined you can get out there. Solar plexus, it's very central. It's centrally located, so much of the energy is moving through there. And if that's stuffed up with blockages, that's going to be a problem for us, both with physical conditions and with mental conditions and energy flow as well. These blockages also impede our energy flow. And in fact, the Kundalini won't even flow as freely as it could if it's hindered by blockages in these different centers. And maybe you can try to force his way through, but it's not the best way to do it if it's getting hung up on blockages. Okay. So we are going to move to our next person. So I saw Yashvant was there in the chat, but I don't see him there. If you're there, you can come back. Did you see Emily Davy? Try not to say people's last names. I apologize about that. Because if people want their privacy, don't want to compromise that. So I apologize for saying your last name, but we'll try to stick with first names. I'm going to tune into you now. And I saw your name. I'm just going to look at your Facebook profile picture as I tune into you. So give me a moment here, Emily. And try to breathe in and out slowly with me. You keep your eyes closed right now. And just let me come in and feel it and feel what's going on. And you can also sit upright if you want, like I'm doing, to help facilitate the concentration and take up our concentration game a little bit in this meditation. I'm also feeling this in the solar plexus for you. It's in a slightly different area than Edward. Um, and what I'm feeling is more the solar plexus, but almost the lower right quadrant of it. You can imagine with it. So it's like starting at the center and going down towards the lower right. And I'm gonna keep tuning into you and sending energy um, for some more moments here. And do try to stay relaxed. You can stay with the breath, stay with the feelings, and just let me come in and let my energy field align with yours. And it's almost as if I'm superimposing my energy systems and um my chakras and my ability to sense them. It's almost like I'm superimposing my subtle body over yours and feeling what you're feeling to some extent. I'm feeling my breathing change to match the tenor of your breath. And I'm feeling some sadness in the chest. You may have had a loss or something like that. You may be sad about what's happened or have some regrets related to that. And this may be a death or loved one that you're missing. Remain calm. And we'll just breathe together here for a few moments. So I'm feeling two things. I'm feeling that work in the solar plexus and also that that sense of loss and anguish in the chest area. And I feel your breath is calm and relaxed, and I appreciate that. I'm in a very still position. I'm in the mudra I like to use while meditating, and I can consciously put myself in that. Yona the dragon has me in that position now. It's a very focused position. in other episodes, I'll show everybody the cosmic mudra if I haven't showed them already. And we're shifting a little bit to more of an energy transmission position for you. And this is often the position that Yona will have me start in, where it's kind of a right hand out position, and it likes this position because it facilitates the transmission of energy from 2 points in the hands, from the fingertips, which is the first place that energy comes out of, and that we worked on earlier today, and also from the center of the palms, which is another energy transmission center in the body, which for me develops significantly later on. So the energy from my fingertips developed first, and later on, that energy transmission center opened up. So this hand position facilitates energy coming to you from those 2 places. And I'm also doing almost like a sideways crunch. And again, don't look at this. You can see it later on the replay if you want, but try to keep your eyes closed so you can focus for now just on how you feel. But we're essentially massaging that Manipura. That's the Indian name of that chakra, the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus chakra. We're compressing and massaging that repeatedly in this movement. And I'm glad I didn't eat right before this session, or else this exercise wouldn't be too good for that. So there's some exercises you don't want to do on a full stomach, and this would be one of them. But I know Yona wouldn't have me do anything that's too destructive or damaging. When I was at Isha Yoga Center, the Sadhguru in Coimbatore, India, I actually had a very significant internal injury that came from doing a very intense process after eating. And it disrupted my digestive system because I was doing very intense movements after eating. And I wound up losing a lot of weight, some of which I didn't gain back from that. So I'm very conscious of not overdoing it. You might find that I've had a whole bunch of experiences in my life that I'll share about in this session, in different sessions, of where I've overdone it. I've done something, overzealous in my pursuit of trying to make spiritual gains and progress in a way that was a little bit rash. And I've really overdone it, and it's been counterproductive at those times. I've injured myself in all sorts of ways. So that's something I always advise against. I always recommend being prudent and not being too overzealous in something that you might be attracted to spiritually, but potentially can set you back. And what we want is to make these gradual steps forward. We're making slow and steady progress moving forward, and we don't have to take steps back, because in those steps back, you don't know how far back you're going to go, and you don't know how much time it's going to take to get you where you need to be. So I found that it's always better. I haven't found one instance where it's better to do something like too rash and dangerous rather than doing something slow and steady. It's never worked, and it's always led to less than optimal outcomes every time. Okay. So thank you, Emily. We're gonna move on, and again, in this order, I'm basically following the order that Yona wants to go in. We're gonna move on to Ponder Rag, and if you're there, you can message me in the chat. We said that was beautiful. You're so welcome, and I love that you came and joined us. I really appreciate you being with us here today. So please stay through, enjoy the rest of the program. You're more than welcome anytime. It's really good to meet you here. So Pandarag, if you're there, you can message in the chat. I'm going to open up your profile, and if you have a picture there, I'll take a look. I'll still be able to tune into you just by seeing your name and the fact that you're here. But I will see if I can see a picture just because it's always nice. So we will see on your profile if I see a picture of you over there. And it looks like we may not have a picture because they're kind of pictures of other people or generic pictures. And that's okay. So I'm gonna tune into you anyway. If you are here, you're also welcome to join in the Zoom at jonah.is as well, as we do this. As we do this process. So I will tune to you now. And if you're not there, not on the Zoom, that's okay. I'm still gonna tune into you because Yona wants to do this. So let's do it. And if somebody isn't there while I'm turning in or doing other things, they just may be less aware if they're not focused, but it doesn't mean that work is not going on. So as I'm tuning into you, I'm feeling my head raise up. And some deep and slightly labored breaths. You may be a bit bigger than I am physically. I'm really pretty scrawny. I get the sense that I may be turning into slightly more robust form, and that's good. Postures to a more energy transmission focused one. We're going to stay here for a minute. And I mainly been in the upper left part of the solar plexus while feeling into your chest. And I'm going to move on now to Samya over here. So Samya, I appreciate how you've been waiting for this for some time in the session. So Yeah, if you are still here, you can message or you can come in Zoom, and I will take a few minutes here with you. No longer hear, that's okay. You can listen to the replay later, and what we're doing now will still be effective. But so it's always good if we can concurrently do this. Massaging into the heart space a little bit, shaking the energies up, moving them up and down, stirring things up a little bit for you, and batting down some things that you may not want to be there anymore. And work on restoring the peace and balance in your system, and circulate energy in your core, facilitated by this mudra that I've never done before, but it involves an energy circulation. It involves my index finger rotating around my thumb. Sometimes you get very interesting positions that I've never seen before, and they could be relevant to that one specific person. So I've never seen this mudra before. It's very interesting. Feel like we're getting at massaging one specific thing inside you now. Okay. All right. So we are going to wrap up our meditation. I thank everyone that did come. If anyone has any comments, you're more than welcome to write me in the chat, or if you're watching this in the replay, you can message me directly on Facebook. And message you now, Samia. You're welcome if you'd like to come on and share a little bit, or just update us generally on in how you're doing. I know you're midway in the process there, and I appreciate your efforts tremendously. So we're gonna wrap up this session. We'll be going again later today in 2 hours and 45 minutes. We'll pick up on this work, and we have these sessions frequently because it is a process, and we'll get through some of the sanskaras, or we'll start on some one time, and then we'll pick back up on those the next time. And you'll also find that if you stay engaged in this process, that Yona, my higher self, is going to be there for you at times when we're not even in the meditation, at times when you may be sleeping. You might see her in your dreams. It's a female orange dragon. If you see a female orange dragon in your sleep or have an inkling of feeling something around, um, she loves company. You can talk to her, and if you have a clairaudient or clairvoyant ability, she'll be the first one um, to show herself and start a conversation, and she can tell you what she's doing, what she's working on. Um, she loves to hang out. Um, so if you stay engaged in this process, or even if you just think about her or call her in on your own time, she'll be there to support. She likes nothing better than doing that, and she's a multi-dimensional being, which means she doesn't have the same time and space constraints. So she can spend all day with you, and it's no sweat off her back whatsoever. More than enough time for everybody who is interested in her company. And I'm glad, and she's glad that more people are finding out about her, so she can help more, because she's spent lifetime since Lemuria, which is a very long time, looking into the human body and learning how to heal the human body physically, mentally, emotionally. But if no one's there calling on her, then she can't do anything. But now that we heard about her and we know about her, she'll be bounding over, leaping over there, flying over there to help out at any time, even at times when we're not meeting here. Definitely is very nice and helpful to meet there, and that allows her to leverage additional energies. But she's also effective on her own. She's a nice big dragon, and she has plenty of energy and power and support that she can provide. So we'll wrap up here. I thank everyone for joining. You're welcome to peruse thought pattern dissolve as well, or listen to the replay on the thought pattern dissolve part that we talked about, and let me know how it's going for you, how thought pattern dissolve is going for you when you apply the 4 steps of thought pattern dissolve. When you find yourself having a thought, especially thoughts that you don't particularly want to have, how does that work for you? How does it feel for you? Is it easy for you to apply that methodology? Let me know. So great to see all of you. If you have any questions, you can ping me on Facebook Messenger. I'll be looking at that throughout the day, and I will look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.